The robot vacuum hummed, bumping under the bed. A soft clink. Something slid across the floor. I frowned, leaning down. A safety pack. My breath hitched. Not mine. The room spun, air too thick, stomach twisting. My hands shook as I picked it up. And just like that, my marriage was over before I even stood up. Looking back, the signs were always there. They weren't flashing neon lights, not at first. They were subtle, like hairline fractures in glass, barely visible but steadily growing until the whole thing shattered. Emily and I had been married for 6 years. We weren't perfect, but we were solid. At least, that's what I thought. We had our routines, morning coffee together, date nights when we could manage, lazy Sundays where we did absolutely nothing. But then, things started changing. Small at first. Almost unnoticeable. She became distant. At first, it was little things, texting more often, smiling at her phone, but never sharing what was so funny. I'd ask, and she'd just say, "Oh, nothing, just a meme." That was fine. I wasn't the paranoid type. Then came the late nights. "Work's been crazy," she said. "Deadlines are killing me." I believed her. Why wouldn't I? She'd always been career-driven. The long hours, the stress, it all made sense. But then I started waking up alone. She wouldn't come to bed until 2 or 3 a.m., sometimes later. "I fell asleep on the couch," she'd say, rubbing her eyes. "Didn't want to wake you." Some nights, I'd wake up and find her sitting in the living room, her laptop open but untouched, staring at her phone instead. When I walked in, she'd lock the screen so fast it was like muscle memory. That nagging feeling started creeping in. The one that tells you something's off, even if you can't prove it. I told myself I was overthinking. I told myself I was just being insecure. But the cracks kept growing. Emily started dressing differently. Not just dressing up, but changing her entire style. New lingerie I had never seen before, yet I had never been the one to take it off. Expensive perfume she didn't wear around me. Clothes that felt a little too put together for just another day at the office. She started going to the gym. Alone. Emily had never cared about working out before. "I just want to feel healthier," she said. That was fine. That was great, actually. But she never wanted to go when I offered to join her. Then there was the way she treated me. The affection faded. Kisses became routine, not meaningful. Hugs felt obligatory, not warm. Sex? Infrequent. Distant. Almost mechanical. And when it did happen, I could tell she wasn't there. She stopped asking about my day. Conversations became surface level. When I tried to dig deeper, she'd get annoyed, like I was bothering her. And then there were the fights. Little things would set her off. I forgot to take out the trash? A whole argument. I asked if she wanted to watch a movie together? "I don't have time for this." I asked if everything was okay? She'd roll her eyes and tell me I was being dramatic. She was pushing me away. And I let her. I remember the exact moment I knew, really knew, that something was wrong. She came home late. Again. I was sitting on the couch, waiting. "Hey," I said. She barely glanced at me. "Hey." She walked straight to the bathroom and shut the door. I heard the shower turn on. Nothing unusual. But then I noticed something. Her clothes. Emily had left her shoes by the door. Her heels. The ones she only ever wore for special occasions. Her dress was draped over the chair. A dress I hadn't seen in years. She'd worn it on our anniversary 3 years ago, but now she was suddenly wearing it on a late night at work. My stomach twisted. My pulse pounded in my ears. She was in the shower for almost an hour. When she finally came out, she smelled like soap, like she was washing something off. I forced a smile. "Long day?" She sighed, rubbing her neck. "Yeah. I'm exhausted." I wanted to ask. I wanted to say something. But I didn't. Because once you ask the question, once you say it out loud, there's no going back. So I let it go. Emily had become an expert at deflection. If I ever questioned anything, she had an answer ready. Why do you keep your phone on silent now? Oh, work emails keep coming in at night, and the notifications are annoying. Why are you spending so much time at the gym? I just want to feel better about myself. You should be supporting me. Why do you act so different around me now? I don't. You're imagining things. Every excuse sounded reasonable. Every explanation made sense. And yet none of it did. I started doubting myself. Was I just being paranoid? Was I making something out of nothing? But deep down I knew. I just didn't want to face it. Not yet. Because once you admit the truth, your whole world changes. And I wasn't ready for that. Not until the robot vacuum found the truth for me. Denial is a hell of a drug. It keeps you warm at night. It whispers in your ear that you're overthinking. It convinces you that the woman you love, the one you've built a life with, wouldn't betray you. That she couldn't. Then reality kicks the door in. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the safety pack in my hand. My mind was a mess, half-finished thoughts colliding in a blur of confusion and dread. My fingers trembled as I turned the wrapper over, feeling its cheap plastic against my skin. There was no dust on it. It hadn't been there long. Not mine. I swallowed hard, my throat dry as sandpaper. My first instinct was to reason my way out of it. Maybe it fell out of a visiting friend's pocket? Maybe it had been stuck under the bed for years, lost and forgotten? But I wasn't that stupid. Emily and I hadn't used protection in years. We were married. There was no reason for it. So why the hell was this here? The house felt different now, alien. The walls, the furniture, the bed I had slept in every night suddenly felt like a stranger's home. I clenched my jaw, trying to steady my breathing. I had to know. I wasn't proud of what I did next, but when your world tilts on its axis, you grab onto anything to steady yourself. Emily's purse was on the dresser. I never went through her things before, never even had a reason to. But now I felt like a man drowning, grasping for proof that I wasn't losing my mind. I dug through her bag, wallet, receipts, lipstick, gum. Then my fingers brushed against something small and cold. I pulled it out. A key. A key I had never seen before. A pit formed in my stomach. What the hell was this for? I shoved it back and moved to her nightstand. My heart pounded as I slid the drawer open. Nothing out of the ordinary. Hair ties, lotion, a few old birthday cards. I almost closed it, but then I saw her phone charger tucked underneath a book. Emily never left her charger there. She always kept it plugged in by her desk. I reached for my own charger, the one by my side of the bed. A sinking feeling hit me as I compared them. Identical. Why would she have two? My pulse hammered in my ears. I felt sick, like the air in the room had thickened, pressing down on me. I put everything back exactly as I found it, and stood there, my mind racing. I needed more. Emily's phone was the key. I knew that much. But she guarded it like a damn dragon hoarding gold. It was always locked, always face down, always within arm's reach. But that night, she made a mistake. She was in the shower again, one of her long, almost ritualistic showers. Steam seeped from under the bathroom door, and I knew I had a small window. Her phone was on the nightstand, charging. Face down, as usual. I reached for it, my hands unsteady. I pressed the side button. The lock screen lit up. No notifications. That was already suspicious. Emily always had messages coming in, whether from work or friends. I tapped the screen again. Face ID? I gritted my teeth. No way in. But then I noticed something. Her iPad was on the dresser. She never used it much. It was linked to her phone, though, same Apple ID, same messages. My heart pounded as I grabbed it and opened the Messages app. For a second, I thought I had hit a dead end. The messages looked normal. Just conversations with friends, family, work. Then I saw a name I didn't recognize. Zach. No last name. Just Zach. My fingers hovered over the screen. I knew deep down that whatever I was about to find would change everything. But I had come too far to turn back now. I tapped the thread. At first, it looked innocent. Random messages. Then I scrolled up. My stomach dropped. There were pictures. Not just flirty ones, explicit ones. Emily, posing in ways I had never seen before. Text 2. Last night was amazing. I can still feel you. Can't stop thinking about you. When can I see you again? Wish I was in your bed right now instead of mine. I felt my breath catch. My head spun. This wasn't just some random guy hitting on her. This was ongoing. My wife was sleeping with another man. The sound of the shower turning off snapped me back to reality. I hurriedly placed the iPad back where I found it, and sat on the edge of the bed, gripping my knees, my mind in freefall. I heard her footsteps. The bathroom door opened. She stepped out, wrapped in a towel, steam curling around her. Hey, she said casually, running a hand through her damp hair. You okay? You look pale. I stared at her. Liar. She walked over, giving me a quick kiss on the forehead. Like nothing was wrong. I forced a nod. Yeah. Just tired. She smiled, completely unaware of what I had just discovered. That night I didn't sleep. I just lay there, staring at the ceiling, her body warm beside me. The woman I had loved, trusted, built a life with, a stranger now. But I wasn't going to confront her. Not yet. I needed more. Because when I finally did, I wanted there to be no way out. I spent the next 3 days gathering evidence. Every text, every call log, every photo. I transferred everything from Emily's iPad to my own device, screenshots, timestamps, proof. I wanted no room for doubt, no space for her to wiggle out of the truth. She was cheating. I knew it. She just didn't know that I knew. The hardest part was pretending everything was normal. Waking up beside her, drinking coffee together, responding to her meaningless small talk. Every smile she gave me, every kiss, every touch felt like poison on my skin. She was lying to my face. And I let her. Because I wanted to watch her dig her own grave. Friday night. The perfect moment. She had already told me her plans. Drinks with the girls. Don't wait up. But I had checked her messages. She wasn't going to be with her friends. She was going to be with him. I waited for her to leave, listening as her heels clicked against the floor and the front door shut behind her. The second she was gone, I grabbed my keys. I already knew where she was going. The messages between her and Zach were explicit, but they weren't careful. They got too comfortable. The last text she sent? Meet me at our spot. 8 p.m. Can't wait to feel you again. I clenched my jaw so hard it hurt. Our spot. A hotel. The same one they'd been using for weeks. Probably months. I had the address. I had the room number. I had everything. I drove there, heart hammering against my ribs. My hands gripped the wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. Part of me still wanted to be wrong, to find some other explanation. But deep down, I already knew. The hotel parking lot was half full. I spotted Emily's car instantly. She hadn't even bothered to hide it. My hands trembled as I stepped out of my car. I walked into the lobby, heart pounding in my ears. The receptionist barely glanced at me. I didn't need to ask where to go. I already knew. 4th floor. Room 417. The elevator ride was suffocating. My chest was tight, my breathing shallow. My fingers twitched at my sides, fists clenching and unclenching. Don't lose it. Not yet. I reached the door. Voices. Muffled laughter. A woman's giggle, Emily's giggle. The sound of a zipper. A moan. My blood turned to ice. I knocked once. Hard. Silence. A pause. Then hurried whispers, rustling fabric. Footsteps. The door opened a crack. And there she was. Emily. Hair tousled, lips swollen, wearing nothing but an oversized button-down shirt that wasn't mine. Her eyes widened, her mouth opening, but no words came out. Behind her, standing by the bed, was him. Zach. Taller than me. Muscular. Smug. Shirtless, jeans unbuttoned. His gaze flicked between me and Emily, and then, he smirked. That's when something in me snapped. Shit! Emily stammered, stepping into the hallway, trying to block my view. I can explain. I let out a breathless laugh. Explain? My voice came out colder than I expected. Explain what, Emily? How you accidentally tripped and fell on another man's dick. She flinched. It's not like that. Oh, really? I pulled my phone from my pocket, scrolling through the screenshots. Because according to these, it's exactly like that. I held it up to her face. So which part isn't true? The part where you said you missed his hands on your body? Or the part where you called me boring? Tears welled in her eyes. Please, just let me. No. I stepped forward, forcing her back into the room. You don't get to just explain. You don't get to lie anymore. Zach scoffed from behind her. Dude, calm down. I turned my glare on him. Shut the fuck up. He raised his hands. All right, man. No need to get crazy. Emily sniffled. It didn't mean anything. I barked out a laugh. It didn't mean anything? My voice shook with rage. So you wrecked our marriage for nothing? I was lonely, she blurted out. You were so distant. I cut her off with a sharp laugh. I was distant? Emily, I begged you to talk to me. I asked what was wrong every single day, and you lied to my face. She swallowed hard. I didn't mean to hurt you. You didn't mean to get caught. Silence. Her lip quivered. I shook my head. Save it. You made your choice. I turned to leave. Wait. She grabbed my arm. We can fix this. I ripped myself from her grip. There's no we anymore. And then I walked out. I barely remember driving home. Everything felt like a blur, like my body was moving on autopilot while my mind refused to catch up. When I stepped inside our house, my house, I looked around at everything we built together. The photos on the walls. The couch where we spent lazy Sundays. The bed where I thought we had shared something real. Now? It was all tainted. I grabbed a suitcase and started packing. Not my things, hers. Every piece of clothing, every personal item, every reminder of her existence. I threw it all in a heap, dragging it to the front door. Then I sat down. And I waited. An hour passed. Then 2. Then 3. Finally, I heard the door unlock. Emily stepped in, eyes puffy, face pale. I pointed at the suitcase. Get out. She stared at me, stunned. You're seriously kicking me out? I tilted my head. Would you rather I burn your shit? She sucked in a breath. Please, let's just talk. No. My voice was flat. We're done, Emily. Take your crap and get out. Tears streamed down her face. I love you. I laughed bitterly. No, you don't. She tried to say something else, but I wasn't listening anymore. She finally picked up the suitcase, pausing in the doorway. I never wanted to hurt you. I didn't even look at her. She left. And for the first time in weeks, I could finally breathe. The silence was the worst part. After Emily left, the house felt like a hollow shell, a place I no longer recognized. Every room was a landmine of memories. Our wedding photo on the mantel, the coffee mugs we bought together, the stupid throw pillows she insisted on getting. I should have thrown it all out. Burned it, maybe. But instead, I just sat there, staring at the wreckage of what used to be us. A part of me had expected relief when she walked out that door. Maybe even a sick sense of victory. After all, I had caught her. Exposed her. I had taken control. So why did I feel like the one who lost everything? Nights were the hardest. I couldn't sleep in our bed, it reeked of her. Of us. The sheets, the pillows, even the way the blankets were folded. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her with him. Heard her laugh, her moans. I moved to the couch. It wasn't much better. The silence was too loud. My brain wouldn't shut off. It kept replaying everything, every lie, every excuse, every moment I ignored the signs. I should have known. I should have seen it sooner. I should have been better. That last thought stuck like a thorn. Was this my fault? Had I pushed her away? She said she was lonely? That I had been distant. Was that true? I shook the thought off, but it clung to me, whispering doubts in the dark. I wasn't sure how to tell people. What do you even say? Hey, my wife decided our marriage was optional? Guess I wasn't enough for her? I started with my brother Jake. He was the kind of guy who never sugarcoated anything, which was exactly what I needed. When I told him, he let out a low whistle. Damn. Never liked her. I frowned. You've known her for years. Yeah. He shrugged. And she always seemed fake to me. I let out a humorless laugh. Guess you were right. He paused. You doing okay? No. Yeah. He didn't buy it, but he didn't push. Listen, you don't gotta go through this alone. Crash at my place for a bit if you need to. Get out of that house. I almost said no. But the idea of spending another night drowning in old memories? I couldn't do it. Yeah. I muttered. Maybe I will. I should have blocked her number. I wanted to. But a part of me kept hoping she'd text first, hoping she'd regret everything. She did text. Not an apology. Just, can we talk? I stared at the message for a long time. My hands hovered over the keyboard. So many things I wanted to say. So many things she didn't deserve to hear. In the end, I just turned my phone off. Emily had already said enough. Healing wasn't a straight line. Some days I felt like I was making progress. Other days I woke up with the sting of her betrayal, the weight of it all. I couldn't shake the feeling that the life I thought I had was slipping through my fingers. I stayed at Jake's place for a while. It helped, having someone around who didn't sugarcoat things. Jake didn't say anything like, "It'll get better." He handed me a beer and let me be when I needed to. He didn't expect anything from me, and that was what I needed most. He gave me space to just breathe. But after a few weeks, the silence was overwhelming. I couldn't hide from it anymore. I had to make decisions. I had to figure out what came next. Eventually, I made an appointment with a lawyer, Lisa. She didn't waste time with pleasantries. She got straight to business, flipping through papers as if it was just another case. You have a joint mortgage, but no kids. That'll make things easier. She'll likely want the house, but you might want to think about whether that's something you want to fight for. I knew Emily. I didn't want the house anymore. It wasn't home. It was a place that held too many memories, too many ghosts. Let her have it, I said, almost surprised at how easily the words came out. I don't want it. Lisa paused, surprised at my quick decision. Are you sure? I nodded. I'm sure. I'm done. A few days later, Emily reached out. It was a short message, but the weight of it was enough to make my chest tighten. Can we talk? I stared at the screen for longer than I should have. My thumb hovered over the keyboard, but I didn't know what to say. It had been weeks since we'd spoken, but the scars were still fresh. Part of me wanted to tell her no, but another part of me needed closure. I agreed to meet her. We met at a quiet cafe, far from anything that had once felt like our place. She looked different. Smaller, maybe even lost. I didn't know if she was truly sorry or if she just wanted things to go back to normal. I'm sorry, she said, her voice quiet, almost apologetic. I stared at her for a long moment before responding. Sorry? After everything? She looked down, her eyes brimming with tears. I didn't care. I didn't feel sorry for her anymore. You said you loved me. But why wasn't I enough? I asked, not expecting an answer. She shook her head, unable to respond. I stood up then, unable to sit there any longer. "Goodbye, Emily," I said. "I can't keep doing this. I'll never forget, but I can't forgive." As I walked away, a weight lifted off my chest. It wasn't anger anymore. It was a sense of finality. I was done. And in that moment I knew it was time to move on. Looking back, I realize how much this whole ordeal has changed me. I used to think that love was enough. That if you cared for someone deeply, if you worked hard enough at it, you could overcome anything. But I was wrong. Love isn't always enough. Trust is everything. Without it, the foundation cracks, and no amount of fixing can put it back together. Emily's betrayal taught me that in the hardest way possible. At first, I thought I'd never get past it. I couldn't even imagine a future without her, without the life we had built. But slowly, I learned that I didn't need her to be complete. I wasn't defined by her or our marriage. The road to healing wasn't easy, and it didn't happen overnight. But I started to find parts of myself I had lost along the way, things I'd forgotten I loved doing, places I'd wanted to go, people I'd pushed away. It's like I had to start over, but this time, on my terms. And while I may have lost something, I also gained something too, the strength to move forward. The realization that I can be happy on my own. That I don't need anyone to define my worth. If I could give advice to anyone in a similar situation, it would be this: don't let someone else's mistakes define your future. Healing takes time, and sometimes it feels like you're standing still, but you're not. Each day is progress. You are enough. And eventually you will heal. Leave a comment with your thoughts on the story. And subscribe to our channel so you don't miss new interesting stories. See you soon.